Welcome to Premier League Matchday 30 predictions. We are eight games away till the Premier League season comes to an end. Well, Arsenal and Wolves both have 30 matches. They only got 8 matches left. The rest of the clubs, they only got 9 matches left. So let's go ahead and begin. Starting off tomorrow between 19th place Burnley versus 9th place Bournemouth at 11 a.m. Eastern on Peacock. Burnley coming off a tough loss on the road 2-0 against Everton. Going up against Bournemouth, who had a draw to Brentford in a real competitive game. This is going to be one that Bournemouth needs a lot in a must-win game. They cannot afford to keep with the draws, of course, because they want to still be part of the European conversation. So I think they need this more. I know Burnley needs it also the most because they're in a position where they're going to probably end up going back to the championship. So with that being said, therefore, Bournemouth wins it 2-0. Sunderland, 11th place, taking on 14th place Brighton, 11 a.m. Eastern on USA Network. Sunderland getting a great 1-0 win on the road, going up against Brighton, who had a tough loss to Arsenal, by the way, and it was really competitive game, but Brighton couldn't finish it off. Now, Sunderland, they are going to need this because they need to secure their spot for another season in the Premier League. As for Brighton, things are not going well for them. It's just Fabian Herzog. It looks like they'll probably move on with Fabian Herzog after the season because things are not going very well there. And being played in the Stadium of Light, Sunderland had some 2 tough losses, Liverpool and Fulham. So Brighton could be the third team, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to go Brighton getting a huge win on the road in the Stadium of Light, 2-1. Then a really critical game in the tables. 5th place Chelsea versus 12th place Newcastle, 1:30 p.m. Eastern on Peacock. Chelsea coming off a 4-1 win on the road against Aston Villa to keep themselves in the race for the top 4 spot against a Newcastle squad that have shown their resilience against Manchester United 2-1. Great result there for Newcastle. But for their Champions League wise, Newcastle drew with Barcelona, so they're still keeping it in, hopefully for a chance to go to the quarterfinals. As for Chelsea, they just lost to PSG 5-2, but they're still alive, hopefully, if they can beat PSG by 3 goals or more. So take a look at this game. Newcastle has never beaten Chelsea in Stamford Bridge since 2012. So can they finally do it? I don't think so. I think it's going to be a draw. Give me a 1-1 draw. First place Arsenal versus 8th place Everton at 1:30 p.m. Eastern on USA Network. Arsenal getting a 1-0 win against Brighton, and with them seeing Manchester City draw against Nottingham Forest, they're just dreaming about the Premier League title finally coming to Arsenal in their hands. Hopefully they don't slip these games. Going up against a tested Everton team who are still in the mix of European football, and they just got a 2-0 win against Burnley. And let me tell you, this is going to be an intriguing one. This could be match day of the week because Everton are a really, really good school, a real good club. They're trying to make themselves a name to Europe, while for Arsenal, they're trying to put their names into the Premier League title. So I'm gonna go I'm gonna go with Sorry, I didn't mean to say Everton. I'm gonna go with Arsenal. I think it's gonna be really close. Arsenal wins it 2-1. Then 18th place West Ham against 2nd place Manchester City. 4 p.m. Eastern on USA Network. West Ham are trying to prevail relegation, But to do that, they got to beat Manchester City because, yes, they are coming off a big win against Fulham on the road. Now going up against second place City, who dropped points by draw by Nottingham Forest. And that is something that Pep Guardiola cannot afford to have. Also, their recent Champions League, they lost to Real Madrid 3-0. Probably one of the worst loss under Pep Guardiola. So I take a look at this as a must-win game for Man City, but West Ham, they're going to put pressure on Manchester City. You've seen that with Nottingham Forest. They kept them in that match last week. So can West Ham do what Nottingham Forest did? No. Man City wins at 4-0. Then we go to Sunday. 13th place Crystal Palace against 15th place Leeds United at 10 a.m. Eastern on Peacock. Crystal Palace got a 3-1 win against Tottenham Hotspurs, and that's it. First half was 3-1 at halftime, then second half, nothing happened. But Crystal Palace managed to get a big-time win. Going up against Leeds United, who had a chance to get themselves at least for securing another season to the Premier League, but fall short to Sunderland. And now they have to finish the season strong. I think this is the game that Leeds United need to win. If they want to survive in the Premier League, they need to win these critical games. And I think Crystal Palace is one of those critical games. I'm going to go with Leeds United. I think they're going to spoil Crystal Palace. Give me a 2-1 Leeds United win. Match day of the week. This is a real critical match day of the week. I know it's Liverpool Spurs, which we'll get to that later on. This one is match day of the week for me. Third place Manchester United taking on fourth place Aston Villa. 10 a.m. Eastern on USA Network. Both clubs coming off losses, of course. Manchester United had a 2-1 loss on the road against Newcastle, while for Aston Villa had a 4-1 loss to Chelsea in a real critical game. Now, these two teams are looking to secure their spot for next year's Champions League. So, Manchester United have been one of the more surprising clubs this season, despite firing Ruben Amorim. Then Michael Carrick came in and changed that club to now where they are. Now there's a chance that the loser of this game will not get a chance to go to Champions League football next year. And critical to this one, this is going to be a real fun one. And being played at Old Trafford, you know Manchester United are going to put a fight on it. But Aston Villa needs this game a lot because they're trying to root for other clubs to make sure that Chelsea doesn't make it to the Champions League next year. So this could be close. Either way, I'm going to go with a draw. I think it's really going to be a great game. Give me a 2-2 draw. 17th place Nottingham Forest against 10th place Fulham at 10 a.m. Eastern on Peacock. Forest, as I mentioned earlier, got a huge result on a draw against Manchester City. While for Fulham, they dropped points for themselves by losing to West Ham. And now they got to play Forest. Now, Forest, unfortunately, they're coming off that also a 1-0 loss in the European League European playoffs. So, Victor Pereira needs to get his club going because they're still in the mix in European League football this year. But also they're in the relegation conversation. So, can they get this point? No. Fulham wins it 3-1. Then the whole world will be watching this one. Maybe for me it's not. It's going to be boring. 6th place Liverpool versus 16th place Tottenham Hotspurs. 12:30 p.m. Eastern on Peacock. Both teams coming off losses. We already mentioned Spurs and their embarrassing 3-1 loss. How about Liverpool's most embarrassing loss? Losing to Wolves. Yeah, Liverpool. That's the worst loss all of us have ever seen. And they went to Molineux and lost to Wolves. That's embarrassing for the champs. And now they have to focus on is a chance to go to the Champions League. And I don't see that gonna happen for Liverpool an honest slot. While for Spurs, it's more like finish the season than thinking about whatever the heck you're thinking about next year. And I don't know who your manager is going to be. So Liverpool wins it 2-0. Then on Monday, 7th place Brentford versus 20th place Wolves, 4 p.m. Eastern on USA Network. Brentford came in and draw 0-0. But going up against Wolves, who got a huge result against Liverpool. They put up a good fight against Villa and against Manchester City, I believe. So they've been testing well. Can they do it again? And could this finally be the week? Wolves are no longer in last place. And if Burnley loses and Wolves win this game, Wolves, you're no longer in last place anymore after 30 matches. That's if you can beat Brentford. And I don't think it's going to happen. I think Brentford is going to come in with some confidence. They have to win this if they're going to get a chance to go to Europe. Give me Brentford winning it 2-1. That's it for Premier League Matchday 30 predictions. If you've not seen my other videos, go check them out on my channel. Of course, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for more sports news.